Hey Buzzkills, Moji and I are on a much-needed summer fuck-all, but this encore presentation of the pod mashup we did with Imani Gandy and Jess Pieklo of the Boom Lawyered pod is a must-listen. We were live in D.C. last winter, covering the whole Medina v. Planned Parenthood case at SCOTUS, in which South Carolina asked the court to cut Planned Parenthood out of the Medicaid program. And shocker, they agreed. We lay out the case and the dangerous outcomes we will now surely face now that SCOTUS had said, feel free, deny Planned Parenthood as a provider for low-income folks. It's a good deep dive into the state of reproductive care for all the folks who need it the most, so listen up. From the Boom Lawyer Podcast, it is Imani Gandy and Jess Pieklo! And from the Feminist Buzzkills podcast, my co-host, the one and only Moji Alawadeo.
And from the Feminist Buzzkills podcast, the amazing, incredible Liz Winstead. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, the welcomes are in order.
The welcomes,
Yeah.
we've all welcomed.
We're all welcome.
We've all
We're all
welcomed
welcomed
you.
out. We're
So hello, fellow law nerds.
Yeah. And hello, fellow Buzzkills.
We are so thrilled to be here with Feminist Buzzkills. We're rooming in a house together. It's like the goddamn real world. It's like some kind of abortion sorority. Like maybe we're Delta Epsilon Iota, right?
D-E-I, D-E-I, D-E-I.
We need shirts.
Oh, it's not coming.
Okay, so it's been wild here, and we've been hanging out, and a lot of people are like, okay, do you just talk about abortion constantly? And it's like, no, the past 2 days we've been obsessed with murder TikTok, the Nexium Max series. Who watched it? The Vow. Highly recommend. Get on it. Imani's watching it before she goes to bed.
Yeah, highly recommend.
Seems wrong. And also, well, I don't know, Moji.
You know, it devolved into what I like to think of as our secret shame. Hot right-wing guys.
Sorry. There's
Yes,
wine.
I know. It's as embarrassing as you booed. It's really embarrassing.
It's not great.
We were doing this to each other.
Yeah, you know when you don't have a car and so you have to walk to the liquor store that's available? Which means you get the only wine that's available. And I don't know, when wine's shittier, why did we drink more of it? It is a mystery wrapped in a riddle.
It is.
So we started drinking, and then we started talking about, you know.
And to be fair, we were watching cult documentaries.
There was also that.
True.
There was also that.
Yeah, and so then we kind of became like, all right, if you got to fuck some of these guys, who is it really going to be? And then we were like, should we bring it up on the show? Do people want to know who we'd actually fuck drunk of these monsters? I don't know if the answer is yes on that. I feel like the answer is I'll wash, but I'll never be clean.
I'm gonna come clean. Rick Perry with glasses.
Hey, this is a Boom Lawyer.
I said it and I stand by it.
They said it. They said it. They said it.
Even more embarrassing.
But wait. Rick Perry with glasses. Just before we move on to the next one, I have Rick Perry's glasses. I would just like to point out.
How you doing, girl?
And then Moji went off the rails, and we all had
Literally.
vomited in our mouths a little, and then agreed.
I did. I said Madison Hawthorne. And thank you. That's exactly how I felt about myself. Thank
Hitler
you.
Youth looking motherfucker.
Ooh, it's embarrassing.
Madison Cawthorn, I mean, he has had a threesome, so I guess.
Sure.
fine.
If I was going to invite anyone to my GOP orgy. Everybody knows he's on the top of everybody's list.
No.
I know. And the thing that we were wrestling with is it's like it almost has to be a bunch of white guys all the time. You know, there's no like, you know, and then we sort of iced our shit cake Or by we, I mean me. I'm from Minnesota. Do we know where we're going with this? Right wing, asshole, Minnesota, bad at signal.
Likes to drink a little bit.
But here's the thing about Hegseth, right? Okay, you're drunk enough. I said the name. You're drunk enough. I can even get past the patriotic pocket square. But dude takes off his shirt and has this Christian nationalist tattoo. I'm like dried up and out of there. Fine. It's done.
Shudder.
It's done.
Shut it down.
So thank you for allowing us to tell you our shame and for staying. You're still here. I appreciate that. You probably feel guilty because of the Beyonce cheers. It feels right. Okay, so here's what's going to go down. We're going to talk about some stuff that you probably haven't heard because we had hard time researching some of this stuff ourselves. We had heard about it, trying to find more details. So that means maybe a lot of you don't know it either. So we were at SCOTUS yesterday. We're going to give you the download on what that case was and what it meant. How many people in this room feel like they know the ins and outs of what happened at SCOTUS yesterday?
Yeah, this is
Exactly.
Yes.
We're in Washington, D.C., so buckle up.
Hold
Then
on
we're
to your
going to
butts.
talk about what happened outside of SCOTUS because there was a lot of shit that went down that was really conflicting with what happened in SCOTUS. And then we also did some shenanigans we'll tell you about inside the Capitol. Then we're going to, of course, we're going to talk about Wisconsin because who doesn't want to read it? Yeah. And then Jess and Imani found this case that is a trajectory that has scared the skivvies off of us. So we'll hit that in a minute too. So I feel like we should just dive into what happened at SCOTUS. And why the fuck isn't everybody talking about it?
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
let's get into these arguments that we heard in Medina, funky cold, versus Planned Parenthood South Atlantic. Jess?
All right. First of all, thank you all for coming out in the middle of the week to listen to a podcast about the Supreme Court and abortion and other manners of horrors. We appreciate you for that. On to those manners of horrors. So we were at the court yesterday, case Medina versus Planned Parenthood. If you've paid attention, you have probably heard that this is a case about defunding Planned Parenthood. And it is. But it is actually about so much more than that, as most abortion-related cases at the court are. This one happens to be a case where the anti-choice community is using Planned Parenthood to try to erase the rights of Medicaid beneficiaries to sue for healthcare generally. So, tip of the spear. Let's get it. Yeah, boo. Big boo on that. So, let's get into a little bit about the procedural history and then we can really dive in. This case involves the Medicaid statute that says recipients have a free choice of providers and also that those providers must be qualified to participate in the Medicaid program. And the Medicaid program provides insurance via the states through to a variety of folks, low-income people, people with disabilities, pregnant folks, and kids primarily. Federal dollars in that relationship don't go to pay for abortions. That's thanks to the Hyde Amendment. Also a big fucking boo there. As you probably guessed, that has not stopped Republicans from lying and using and finding ways to try and cut off all federal funding to Planned Parenthood. And one way is to say that they're not qualified. That's background for this case. In 2018, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster he signed an executive order that the state health department should declare clinics that provide abortions aren't qualified providers under Medicaid. This is an old canary in the coal mine. The anti-choice movement has been doing this nonsense for at least a decade. Planned Parenthood did what was reasonable and got a beneficiary and sued and said, hey, guys, you can't do that. And what should have been a straightforward dismissal and case kicked out wasn't. Shocking. I know. So we have precedent that's at risk and the possibility of the Medicaid statute, private right of enforcement at risk as well.
Yeah, and 3 separate courts of appeal have all said that the free choice of provider provision means that recipients can use a different federal statute, a statute called Section 1983, to enforce that right. We're going to talk a little bit more about Section 1983 in a bit, but let me just tell you, it's a Reconstruction era post-Civil War statute that was essentially enacted because white people couldn't act right.
Completely.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
boo. Not boo white people generally, just the ones that don't act right.
Yeah.
I don't want to get canceled, guys.
Look, I'm leading
Angry
the
black
booth.
lady got on stage and she booed white people.
Who don't act right.
Who don't act right. But the district court and the Fourth Circuit in this case agreed. But SCOTUS took this case, right? So it's clear that they have a bug up their ass about defunding Planned Parenthood and making sure that people on Medicaid lose the ability to enforce the right to health care. Now, there are two questions that Alliance Defending Freedom wanted the court to take. They only took one. They took the big one, which is, does the Medicaid statute confer an unambiguous right to sue if you cannot choose the provider that you want, right? But Alliance Defending Freedom also wanted to talk about South Carolina deeming Planned Parenthood an unqualified provider. And the court didn't take that question.
No, and that'll be important later on when we talk more about the case. So before we dive into oral arguments, what's really at stake here if South Carolina, the Alliance Defending Freedom, and the Trump administration, who, by the way, they jumped in because they had some things to say about this as well, if the court were to side with them? Well, the first thing that it would do would upend over 40 years of Medicaid beneficiaries being able to enforce their right to healthcare, to see healthcare providers that they choose. And that is a huge attack on precedent, one that this court is becoming very familiar with. It also, when we place it in the context of the fact that, well, Dr. Oz now runs Medicare and Medicaid. A man who has said there is no right to health care generally. This is a tremendous threat because what we are seeing is the conservative legal movement use vulnerable populations as a way to attack and narrow access to health care generally. So if you think this is the kind of thing that stops with Medicaid beneficiaries, that stops with attack on low-income folks or the disabled or pregnant folks, no. It's just the beginning and the tip of the spear.
So should we just talk about what some of the arguments were?
Yeah, let's do it.
Should we?
Yeah, I guess we have to. Okay, so we got to talk about magic words.
Oh, like magic beans.
Like magic beans, like Jack and the Beanstalk. Brett Kavanaugh. Boom. As longtime listeners of Boom Lawyer know, we like to call him Justice Keg Stand.
Brad McBeer.
Brad McBeer is another one. But Kavanaugh and Thomas were both obsessed with the idea that there are magic words that must be used in a statute before a right can be vindicated in court, before a right that a statute gives to you allows you to go in court and sue based on that right.
Like Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Right, exactly. The magic word is right. I'm sorry, privileged, immunity, benefit. And these are words that these justices wanted to see in the statute. And because those words aren't in the Medicaid statute, they're like, well, fuck them. Like,
So are magic words like a legal term that you guys learn in law school?
it's, I mean, in a sense. But in
Yeah.
this context, no.
No, I was going to say, there is a three-pronged test that might
God, we
apply
lawyers
to the
love
magic
our-
words.
Yes.
But no, this is not a real thing. This is the conservative legal movement making shit up.
Being dicks, basically. And the DOJ and South Carolina want an unambiguous right. They want the Medicaid statute to say you have an unambiguous right to choose your provider, and if you don't get to choose your provider, you can sue. And the statute at issue says, essentially, an individual may obtain medical care from the provider of their choice. They don't think that may obtain medical care from the provider of their choice is rights enough language to make it a right that you can sue for in court.
Yeah. The lawyer representing Planned Parenthood even called them out on that and was like, what do you mean? This is too wimpy to be a right? Like, rights creating language. And it's the point I thought, too, that Justice Kagan was making about the may language not conferring a right. Well, the state's not mandating specific care by Medicaid beneficiaries. It doesn't say if you're a Medicaid beneficiary, you must get this care. People have the ability to forego the care. That doesn't mean they don't have the right to enforce what is owed to them under the statute.
Right. Yeah. And in fact, Elena Kagan even said she couldn't even figure out a way. Was that Sotomayor?
No, it's Kagan.
It was Kagan.
Yeah.
She couldn't even figure out a way to talk about the right without using the word right. And she was kind of like, basically, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Seriously.
Yeah.
And was like getting very agitated and frustrated.
Yeah,
was
she's
like,
like,
there's
"What
no
do
way
you
to do this shit.
Yeah.
So you have this argument about whether or not low-income folks who use Medicaid can sue if they get terrible care, or can just sue if they don't get to go to the place they want to go to, right? So then is the natural conclusion, we will decide where then you get to go?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole background question here. So remember when Imani said that the Alliance Defending Freedom had 2 questions that it had teed up that it wanted the court to take. And again, just as a reminder, there wasn't a conflict around any of this before. The court voluntarily decided to step into this. It's not like there was massive disagreement between federal circuits across the country or anything. This is pretty settled. That first question, or the question that the court didn't take about whether or not Planned Parenthood is a qualified provider, is getting to the nut of your point, because the executive order in 2018 just said if you provide abortions, you're not qualified to participate as a provider in that. Well, you know, if the state of Oklahoma wanted to decide that providers who were not providing, or who were providing vaccines to children as part of a routine schedule, were no longer qualified, they could do that. It would not be lawful, but if the beneficiaries don't have any right to enforce the Medicaid statute, they can just do the fuck they want.
And one of my questions is, I'm sorry, but the Supreme Court only took one question. If they answer it affirmative to Alliance Defending Freedom, don't they also basically answer the second question already?
Very much so.
But without having to do so. And here's the kicker. Right? South Carolina.
Give it to me.
I'm going to give you the kicker. South Carolina didn't want any provider that provides abortion. Planned Parenthood South Atlantic doesn't provide abortions.
They play up to 6 weeks. That's it.
Right, right. But they're not like, they are conflating the clinics in individual areas with Planned Parenthood National, right?
Yes.
Big abortion. So really what this is about is they don't like abortion, and anyone who has anything to do with abortion, even outside the Medicaid context, because in South Carolina, you can't use Medicaid dollars to pay for abortion. So there's no problem in South Carolina, but the fact that they're bitch asses.
And yes, and nearly 20% of South Carolinians are on Medicaid currently. So when we're talking about the way that this is used, that the way the conservative legal movement uses their abortion stigma and public misperceptions around reproductive care as a way to get done in the courts what they can't get done in legislatures, what they can't get done in Congress, which is repeal the ACA, which is absolutely do everything to strip away the little access to healthcare that we have in this country that's not hyper-corporatized. Like, it's a shell game. And this case really, really drew that home.
And I just want to say, when I think about the snowball effect of where this could go, and the administration we're living in now with, like, you know, everybody just gets ivermectin and some cod liver oil for everything. I mean, right? It's just like, what are we even doing? Just drink it and put a salve and there you go. And what's wrong with you anyway for actually getting sick? Eat some bear and get in the game.
Yeah.
But I look at reproductive care in particular because they're so focused on reproduction and oppression around reproductive health, right? Like, if they control our fertility, they control everything. And so I look at, and I might be just making up this fantasy story, but I want to know that if the path I'm going down is terrible and then we can all feel terrible, or you're like, no, that's a stupid thing, Liz. And I'll be like, great, I said something stupid, we can all exhale. So crisis pregnancy centers, CPCs, fake clinics, we all know. So if they decide to pour money into these places to say, this is the healthcare you get, and they can sort of self-define what a standard of care is, could it mean then that you are a person, and I don't know if you have heard about abortion reversal, this quack theory that literally there's not peer-reviewed studies. One quack doctor has tried saying that if you take boatloads of progesterone after you take your first medication, you can possibly stop the abortion. It's utter bullshit, obviously. But they promote this at fake clinics, right? And so could that be the course of treatment for someone, whether they like it or not, and they're just fucked and they just get bad advice? And then on top of it, if that's the course of treatment, they can't sue if they like hemorrhage out.
Yeah. Well, kind of. So first of all, we're talking about Medicaid beneficiaries, right? So So
who
like
would be going to
so that would be
low
Medicaid
income fake clinics.
Yes. And, arguably they'd still have, under your hypothetical, the ability to bring a medical malpractice lawsuit.
If they have money.
If they can find a lawyer, if they live in a state that doesn't have stacked upon stacked upon stacked tort reform laws that make bringing those cases very difficult. And that was one of the points that was brought up in oral argument is, there wasn't a lot of talk about the actual beneficiaries themselves. And at one point, it was either the attorney for the Trump administration or Alliance Defending Freedom, and he was like, well, if they're injured, they could bring a breach of contract claim or something else, some other way to try and enforce their rights, as though folks who are on Medicaid have a whole lot of free time and a whole lot of money laying around to begin with. And also, let's table set a little bit on Medicaid here, because it's not like providers are clamoring and jumping over themselves to participate in these programs, right? They feel like they're burdensome. There's a ton of reporting requirements, particularly if you're in the family planning part of it. The records that you keep, the hoops that you jump through, it is administrative burden on administrative burden on administrative burden. And you don't get any of that if you're just reading the story. What you're getting is, it's about defunding Planned Parenthood. You don't even hear about the people who are at the heart of it. And, the final point that I would just say there is that this is really, truly a tactic just to, again, whittle and narrow care, because, it's not like I said, it's not like private people or providers are jumping in to be part of this. But the reason this part of the Medicaid statute is even at issue is because historically, states were fucking around with who got to be a provider in their programs to begin with and making all sorts of restrictions. And Congress came in and said, no. You cannot be trusted to run these programs completely on your own. There needs to be some guidance and oversight. And now the Alliance Defending Freedom is like, we're not so sure.
And one of the silliest arguments they're saying is that the state isn't on notice that if they don't allow a person to choose their own provider, that person can sue. They're saying, what are we going to do? There are people going to be suing us and we didn't even know we could be sued. Motherfuckers, that's why 1983 is there.
Yeah, so let's talk. Okay, so let's go a little bit. I mean, we've got the broad strokes about white people fucking around about 1983. But let's get to really what 1983 is and why it matters here.
1983 is a post-Civil War statute that was enacted because, like I said, white people weren't acting right. The Ku Klux Klan was running around willy-nilly. They were literally a part of not only local governments, but the federal government. And they were preventing Black people from doing things that they were entitled to do by law, whether it was vote, whether it was walk down the street, whether it was have their farm, whatever it was. So 1983 was enacted, and it says if an official under the color of law deprives you of either a constitutional right or a legal right, a statutory right, then you can sue. And that's just the way it's been since 1871. So the idea that South Carolina, which is one of those states where a lot of white people were fucking around and not acting right, they're claiming, well, we didn't know that people were going to sue us. And even Kagan brought up, or Sotomayor, Kagan or Sotomayor, one of the two brought up, well, that's why 1983 is there. You know that exists, right? You know it says that you can be sued, right? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And to put an even finer point on that, it's not just that you can be sued, it's that you're held liable for damages and attorney's fees. So there's actual dollars on the line. And you know that the conservative legal movement hates nothing more than poor folks getting dollars.
Yeah. But also, when you bring up 1983 to a layperson like me, and I hear you say it was put here because white folks weren't acting right, And if you had any of your civil rights violated, you can sue. I gotta think about what's happening to the people from our college campuses right now, and to all of these people right now who are literally being violated by exactly what you're saying. And what we should all have 1983. That should be. We should all know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because wow.
Yeah. And also, I just want to get to it just so we're absolutely clear. If the Alliance Defending Freedom wins this, then 1983 is essentially toothless or moot.
Not necessarily. No, not for like all of it, but it then is not the vehicle that Medicaid beneficiaries can use to enforce their benefits under the Medicaid statute. So it would become a carve out essentially. But it absolutely it's the first domino. Think of it that way.
Right.
Okay, it's a domino that will fall, and it will lead to you not being able to sue if you're violated on campus during a protest, or if the cops, beat you up, if they assault you. 1983 should be there for you to sue someone for deprivation of your rights. And if it's the one domino that falls, we all know how they tend to fall, and pretty soon we're all just
because they're looking for an unambiguous right. So is there a statute that says, you unambiguously have a right that you can enforce privately?
And we got to talk about Justice Jackson.
No, yeah, good. Okay.
Justice Jackson.
I don't think we should. Never anything that's going to come out of my mouth. Yes.
But the Justice Jackson 2 years ago, in a case of almost exactly the same case involving the Federal Nursing Home Rights Act. It was a man who was being chemically restrained in a nursing home and wanted to sue. And the defendants were like, no, you can't sue. And he was like, bitch, yes, I can, 1983. And he sued, and the Supreme Court was like, yeah, there's a private right of enforcement. Now, what South Carolina is saying is that the Medicaid statute is different than this nursing home statute, because in the nursing home statute, they use those magic words.
It gets back to the magic
Kavanaugh
words.
and Thomas were obsessed with. They use the word right over and over and over. But again, you have to be dense to think that a statute that says you can choose your provider doesn't come with some remedy if you're not allowed to choose.
But we know conservatives love to play dense.
Yes.
That's essentially what their whole legal movement is based on. Just playing dense and then pretending that words don't mean what words mean.
So Jackson basically was like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, why are we here?
Yes.
I just wrote an opinion 2 years ago that covers this.
And 6 of you fuckers signed on to it.
And it was a 7-2 opinion. The only people who dissented were Alito and Thomas. So
I could guess that.
everyone in this room could have guessed that. So the question becomes, how do Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch and John Roberts square the circle between that case that Jackson decided 2 years ago that says, of course you can sue, and this one where they want to say you can't sue, but only because they don't like abortion? It's the abortion carve-out.
And this is giving me Dobbs flashbacks. Dobbs flashbacks, because there's no reason the court should have taken this case if it was not going to screw around with that precedent. Just like the only reason the court took Dobbs is because it was going to overturn Roe. In what world does the John Roberts Supreme Court take a case to affirm the right of abortion? Ain't happening, right? That's not what we saw in Dobbs. In what world are they doing that to say, you know what, we really endorse the rights of Medicaid beneficiaries? I'm willing to be wrong on this. Like, maybe Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh don't fall off, but I'm just saying they took the case for a reason, and I don't think it's a good one.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, too, to your point, that are the two parallels that I see in this case. One, there was no lower court conflict in Dobbs, right? It was the Fifth Circuit twice was like, you know what? This goes against Roe. 15 weeks, no. And then they were like, we want to take it anyway. And two, there was a case called June Medical that came up 2 years after the whole women's health case with the exact same case. It was like, maybe we'll get it this time. And it was just like, bitch, no. It's the same, literal same thing. Words didn't even change.
Yeah.
Language didn't even change. It was just the same case. So this repetitive nature of let's just try it again seems really creepy. Okay.
And that's what the lawyer said, by the way. That's what the ADF lawyer said.
I was the lawyer. I don't know if you know that. It's like amazing.
Why now? Well, because before it was 2023 and Biden was in office and we had a Biden DOJ, and now it's 2025 and we have the Trump DOJ. And that's the reason. And it honestly, it shouldn't be that the law flip-flops and changes like whiplash every 2 years.
About all of our rights. So here, okay, we've laid out the case about what's at stake and what the ramifications could be. I'd love to just hear slightly before we move on to like what happened outside the court and why that matters, because it was so different than when went inside the court. Did the Planned Parenthood lawyers make the case? And the thing that we were talking about this earlier, and the thing that I find when we hear about this case, and just like, not if you agree or whatever, this seems like a case about compassion and care and who gets care and how we feel about people who are low income and need it, right? Like, did you see from either side, I mean, I know the answer's going to be because these people are all dead inside, but did you see any of that in the arguments? And did our side make a point, or did the other side's lawyers make the point? Like, how did you feel it came out in the end? Where do you, I know you don't like to read tea leaves. It's terrible to put lawyers on the spot, but give me some really what you think happened.
Before I kick it to Jess, I will say that I looked through the transcript. I reread the transcript. I searched for the word poor. It didn't show up. I searched for the word woman. It didn't show up. I searched for the word children. It didn't show up. Searched for the word women, and it didn't show up. So no, there was not any really talk about who is at the center of this case, and that is poor people, pregnant people, children, and elderly people, and the disabled. None of those people were talked about. It was all statutory language.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the humanity was really stripped out of it. But I thought the lawyer for Planned Parenthood did phenomenal. I mean, she was really great, but the case was teed up to be very chin-strokey about the statute and about the role of the spending clause and the relationship between the federal government and the states. And so, to the extent that there are shades of the EMTALA case here, right, which is also a case about the spending clause and the relationship between the federal government and the state and Medicare in that instance, at least
the EMTALA case is the emergency room abortion case.
Yes, the case out of Idaho. That case had the patients centered in it. Yes. The erasure of the patients, I think, comes in part because the second question on Planned Parenthood being qualified or unqualified was not taken by the case. This created cover for the justices to not have to talk about what they would do if they issued a ruling that said, under the Medicaid Act, there is not an unambiguous right for enforcement. And so Congress is going to have to go do something about it.
So is it the case that, however, that like, we're sort of stuck with this clown show of a Department of Health and Human Services, right? Who are going to be able to question all kinds of things. You know, will they decide that, you know, we need to just take Miffy off the market because it wasn't, you know, approved correctly? Will we be, you know, will ivermectin be thrown into the pot of, I don't know, replace Vagisil or whatever the fuck they decide? I mean, honestly, I just don't know at this point. But, you know, when you are at the whim of not even people we disagree with, but wholly unqualified crackpots, you know, how this plays out seems to give just a hole that you could drive a Mack truck through of permissions to set and shift the thing. So what can we do? What can we do about it?
Well,
or do we want to answer that in a minute? Because I think we need to.
Yes, I feel like there's more that we can.
I think what we need to talk about, what we really need to talk about, is go back to that second question, right? That ADF wanted to answer, which is whether or not Planned Parenthood is qualified, and why isn't Planned Parenthood qualified? And if you dig deep enough into it, I don't know if y'all remember 10 years ago when David DeLayden and the Center for Medical Progress started releasing those videos, those heavily doctored videos where they were claiming that Planned Parenthood was selling like decapitated baby heads on the dark web, and they were buying Lamborghinis and drinking wine over the like blood of sacrificed aborted fetuses. I mean, that is the driving impetus for these lawsuits. That is why they think that these lawsuits are correct, because they think Planned Parenthood is basically the devil, and when really what it is just fetal tissue donation to help
find cures for diseases.
And I want to go to Moji because this plays into the narrative of what was happening inside the court, and we just laid out for you what the court actually took up and what they were talking about, right? When we were outside the court, neither side was talking about what was happening inside the court. We were outside with Abortion Access Front rallying, and Moji, I wish you could talk a little bit about what the PR, because it felt like PR vibes.
Outside was PR, and so outside, there was a lot of pro-abortion people, but outside on the anti-abortion side, they were talking about baby parts. They were going in on how terrible Planned Parenthood is. But on our side, which was a rally funded by Planned Parenthood, they were talking about how great Planned Parenthood is and not necessarily talking about the patients and how this case isn't actually at this moment a referendum on Planned Parenthood, but really a referendum on like what access patients should have to the providers of their choice. And I guess that's good rallying points, but that doesn't actually, it didn't leave me. I didn't listen to the oral arguments at that time because I was outside. But like, it didn't leave me with a sense of like what they were arguing for or against inside of the courthouse.
And I felt that
outside doing those.
Wait, no, we'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute.
We got photos.
We got photos. I'll show you in a minute. But I did feel that way too. And if you don't know what's at stake, which as we asked earlier in the show, you were like, yeah, we really don't know what this case was about. Don't you feel profoundly upset? And in other rallies that I've been to that have been centered around abortion cases, we knew the Dobbs meant Roe was at stake. We knew that the June medical case in Planned Parenthood v. Hellerstedt was about these draconian trap laws, these laws that were trying to shut clinics down. We knew those things and we talked about those things. The NIFLA case, which was a case around whether or not fake clinics could just lie to people and whether that. And every speaker on our side spoke to those things. And on the other side, when I tell you, it was so fucked up, you guys, because there would be points. We outnumbered them by a lot,
by at least 50%.
Yeah,
it was like double.
And it was really that was nice really great.
Yeah, it wasn't our first or third time at the Supreme Court, and often we're either equal numbers or dwarf. It was incredible tonight.
Yeah, that was great. But it was one of those things where, have you been to the SCOTUS when there's two sides and there's rallies? So you know how it happens when like someone on like the side you like is just like taking a breath and then you hear a phrase from the other side. So these are the three phrases that stuck with me the most, if I might.
Please.
Dobbs was to the pro-life movement what the Emancipation Proclamation was to slavery.
They love to be bereaved and feel like they've been enslaved by anything.
Yeah, and I led with the calmest one. Moving up. Abortion is healthcare the same way slavery is to job care. Job care.
Job care.
Job care.
Job care.
Unclear.
Job care.
Not even a thing.
Not even a word.
Look, I'm just don't shoot the messenger. And the last one, in the past 2 weeks, Planned Parenthood has killed more babies than the KKK. So yeah. So it is my theory that while we're arguing something inside that would seem to, if you told people what the case was, you may get a group of people who would say, I don't want to harm poor people who need health care, right? That can't be your PR because you lose. So their PR was entirely going back and transforming Planned Parenthood into this reckless, horrible, don't give care kind of, dumpster in a backyard kind of place, so that when that $800 billion Medicaid cut happens and Planned Parenthood is part of that, you're like, well, they are kind of crappy in selling baby parts. Right?
Yeah.
And today I looked, I was like, oh, what is the right-wing media saying about the case, and what are they saying about the rally? And basically what they were saying is, oh, this case is about big abortion trying to get into taxpayer dollars. And it's like, well, that's not at all what it's about.
It's about fake clinics wanting to get into those taxpayer
yes.
dollars.
Right.
That's what that's about. They don't want to have to comply by the rules, but they still want the money, and that is conservative logic 101.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And going back to the point of the case, if the fake clinics are providing you bullshit care and you have a problem with it, and the court has already said you can't sue, then what do?
Yeah, fuck them whores.
Nothing. There's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's happy. So I want to bring it to Joy. I want to bring it a little bit to Joy, right?
Yes.
Because we were outside, and if you don't know the work of Abortion Access Front, part of the thing that we really want to do is, we disrupt with humor, and we also do what I call heart-to-heart activism, which means in situations like now where I don't know legally where we're going to go, it's really important that we provide incredibly thoughtful care to the providers and the patients who are often forgotten. So making care packages, taking care of clinics, checking in, sending them massages. We at one point brought a hot tub to a parking lot of a clinic in Ohio and booze and said, get in this and do it, right? And so that shit's really important to us. And also leading with joy and reframing how we talk about abortion. And we really firmly believe, and I'm sure everyone in this room does too, that abortion is emancipation.
Yes.
100%. It helps you control your fertility.
You mean tariffs aren't?
Yes.
I thought it was tariffs.
Look, those abortion pills coming in from India, you're going to get a 20% slapped on it, people. So we need domestic-made, union-made abortion pills. That is what we need. And disarming these people that for so long have shamed us and kept us in the closet and kept us not speaking our truth. Well, we decided, fuck that shit. So we were out there. If we want to bring up the first slide, Jen, and Moji prominently featured. It made to the Rachel Maddow show. We were very excited. But Moji, talk about what you were doing and what you were wearing.
Abortion Access Front did the most yesterday. But one of the things we did is Moji got gussied up in our Miffy costume, which is the pill mifepristone, the first part of the abortion bill, medication abortion protocol. We have misos. They just weren't. They were busy. Yeah, they were busy. But I was out there in the Miffy costume, which is an inflatable costume. Sparkly, doing high kicks, having dancing. Really they had.
And passing out information about the safety and efficacy of medication abortion.
Absolutely.
So it was cool.
And dancing, and people were dancing with me. And I will say, there was an incredible band that was on our side, and it was so much fun. The music was so good. I do think, and this, if you guys know anyone who does amplification, do we not know how amplification works? Because
our
every single time I've been to SCOTUS, the antis have the best sound system.
They really do.
Terrible takes, terrible people, really good sound system.
Have you been to a mega church? It would explain it.
You can't tell me Christian rock bands have better sound men than somebody.
If you know Christian entertainment, that answer or that question answers itself.
We invest a lot in that.
It's so embarrassing. Yeah. But the joy, the happiness, it was great. It was really
great. And then the posters you see here, and we'll put them in our show notes. But we decided one thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to make huge magazine covers of what the legacy of each of these justices would be, so that if they happen to see a news broadcast, they would have to look at probably what they'll be remembered for. And the reason we did it is that we actually talked to a couple, it was you guys, also Dr. Michelle Goodwin, some other people who said, these people really care, especially John Roberts, about what will be said about him and what their legacy is.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you'll see the John Roberts, it's Time Magazine, and it says John Roberts, the man who presided over the death of the Constitution. That's the last fucking thing that guy wants to be said about him. Brett Kavanaugh, People Magazine, sexiest man alive. Alito, Unscientific American. The FDA, who needs it when you have Joe Rogan? So they're really funny and they're huge. And they block out also the bullshit of them, which was nice. And then just moving on to the next one, just kind of seeing what the anti-abortion people brought. Next level. I don't know if you can read the sign. It says, "Our generation has been killed by abortion," and it's a fetus.
But how? You're right there.
With a skull.
Like you're alive and breathing, and you're holding that dumb fucking sign.
Look,
What are you talking about?
Also vaguely looks like the Black Cat.
I was going to say, don't run me off the stage, but that sign's a little punk.
Yeah. Metal. But they don't know it. Also,
no, they don't.
The skeletal system in the womb, it's just not working. It's
No,
not
I
working.
mean,
It's like a T-Rex.
Yeah, and
that's a definite C-section if that's happening.
Yeah, but look at every single one of these signs, okay? Like this is something, as we have told you what the case was about. Look at every one of these signs. Planned Parenthood puts politics over people. What? That's not what the case is about. Choose health over harm. Why don't you fucking choose health over harm? I am rubber, you are glue, bitch. And and then defund. But this is like it. And then also, what is the through line? Wait. But
they're all so concerned about how abortion
they're very
is, like,
concerned.
slavery. Yeah.
And so that felt really good because we got a lot of word out. And then the second thing we did yesterday in the wake of this case, in the wake of Medicaid, is next slide, please. I'll go to that. Oh no, this guy.
Oh no,
we
forgot about this.
I forgot. Oh my God.
My eyes.
So, okay. Every fucking time somebody slides into our rally DMs with their own bullshit, I'm sure you've heard of, or if you haven't, I'm going to tell you, and then you're going to be like,
no one's
I
heard
hate
of
the
them,
world.
Liz.
No, okay.
No.
So this man is an intactivist.
Yeah, let that one sit for a minute.
By his whole fighting is about the perils and scourge of circumcision. Have your feelings about circumcision, fine. Have your own rally about it.
Yes.
I don't need you in my shit. But also, his dick, his decision. Also, why isn't it?
Why he could have just said, it
Dick-cision.
could have been Dick-cision. Also, like my body, my choice. Like I bet that motherfucker's pro-life, quote unquote.
I know.
Pro-life.
Also, I feel like
what's
they really
the call to action? What are we doing?
call to action. Also, I feel like they really leaned into this anti-imagery with this foreskin with a safety bit.
Like what is that? It looks
Why?
like a wonton.
Why?
Also, still kind of
looks like
punk.
a
I'm
donut.
sorry, but it is.
Still kind of what?
Still kind of
Or it
punk.
looks like a tortellini a little bit,
Right.
maybe. Like a sun-dried tomato tortellini.
Yeah,
Why
he's
people
also a
object.
bad TikTok cooking thing. Anyway.
And it's like, I don't know if any of you are fans of Arrested Development, right?
Yes.
When Lindsay Blue says, let the dog have its ears.
Yes.
But I'm so bummed that I didn't get a photo of there was maybe 6 or 8 intactivists there running around. And one of them had a sign that said circumcision ruins hand jobs. I'm like, that
Sounds like a skill issue.
Yeah.
right. That's a you problem. So I just wanted to put this guy in for no other reason that it's so weird and hilarious. And also just like sliding into a rally, talking about your shit. It's not like, oh, I want to be able to sue for my circumcision. Never came up.
Nobody cares what.
Nobody's
right.
not like
what.
that. Like,
Right.
I
I
am
mean,
a
even
loyal, I'm going to
I
take
feel like
to court.
even a call like, defund circumcision and Medicaid would be a little bit more appropriate. But he wasn't that deep. He was just like,
They were
"How
not
about this
deep at all.
wonton?"
And the bloody hand just makes it. Anyway, so that guy. But then we went to the Capitol. And we'll bring that one up now. We go to the Capitol. So what we did was we have been so pissed for so long that politicians have just been playing doctor. And they passed these laws or proposed these laws with, it seems, zero thought about what are the ramifications? How will this play out? And with this Medicaid case that we've been talking about, it's the same thing. You know, your greedy bullshit selves, either you thought about how it was going to play out and you didn't care, or you didn't think about how it was going to play out at all. So we have Elizabeth Booker Houston here on the left at Chuck Schumer's office, and this Michelle Fishbach. I'm from Minnesota, so I'm like, we're going in on Fishbach in the House. She's a bit, she's the co-author, like the Born Alive Act and the Only Women Who Are Virgins Act, or whatever the fuck, a lot of shit. So we dressed up as nurses and brought patients and demanded to see them to what course of care we should take. And we just rolled, and we wouldn't leave their offices, and they were so bummed. And we just listed what happened. Like, can you please paging Dr. Schumer? We would like to know what happens. And Elizabeth Booker told her own personal pregnancy story of being on Medicaid and her pregnancy story and how she needed help. And it was really great. And we just rolled until they're like, you have to leave and we're calling the cops. And we would have stayed, but people had things to do. But the thing that was really great, and you can watch them on Instagram, but the thing that I really liked about it was it showed them having to hear exactly what happens and what they didn't think about, and also maybe helping people who hadn't really thought about it also to do it.
And also, wasn't there a First Amendment alert, like a capital-wide?
Yeah, they had a capital-wide.
These bitches are coming.
Yes.
Run for the hills.
Run for your lives. Yeah, it's practically January 6th. Over here with our glittery abortion pill and our stolen hospital gowns that we stole from our own OBGYN exams, by the way, because we're nonprofit. But if you want to get trouble with us, please sign up after the show. Come talk to us about that, because that's what we do. But it was a really good way. I think it was a good catharsis to just tell them what you think. Never be silent. Always be in the moment, and you never stop fighting.
I love it. And I mean, if you haven't had a chance, definitely check out. They've got the footage on their socials. It is phenomenal. And, just to kind of wrap up some of this a bit, what was happening outside of the court, Moji and Liz very rightly talked about that being the PR part. And when you think about the way these cases are covered, you're getting pictures. Now a Getty image of Modi as Miffy, which is...
You're a Getty queen.
I'm the Rita Ora of abortion.
But if it wasn't for these guys with their signage, then the pictures in the media would have been very much defend Planned Parenthood and fuck Planned Parenthood. Yeah. And nobody would have even gotten to the meat of it. So I just want to say thanks for being out there and doing that.
We do it for all of you. We love you. Yes. Okay, so before we get into Wisconsin, so we can all just dance and sing and do shots and have fun, Jess has discovered a case she and Imani have been talking about for a long time. And when we were talking about what is something that we want to talk about that people might not know about, and Jess dropped this story, I was like, that's the story. Jess, take the story.
Okay, so longtime listeners of the Boom Lawyer podcast probably know that one of my party tricks is scaring the shit out of people. Not in a boo jump scare way, in a this is what's happening in the courts way. And so I'm sure y'all are familiar, at least nominally, with the medical privacy statute HIPAA, right? Okay, so would it shock you to learn that the conservative legal movement has HIPAA in its sights? Would it shock you to learn that they have found an anti-choice, anti-trans doctor out of Texas who would like to have a 2024 privacy rule struck in nationwide because she thinks it gets in the way of her being able to report people who provide gender-affirming care as abusers?
Boo! Is it that SCOP lady?
No.
Okay.
But I think they kind of put him in it's
they probably hang out.
Yeah, and they make him in a lab, right?
Yeah, they're pod people.
I think of that meme at the baseball game where it's the same white guy just in a different colored polo shirt. Yeah. I feel that way about these guys. So the case is Pearl versus HHS, and it's in Texas. And it has been filed in front of one, Matt Kaczmarek.
Our good friend, Maddie K.
Oh, I love you people.
My heart is so full that this whole room just booed Matt Kaczmarek. You have, I'm going to put that as my ringtone.
These people, they understand the assignment. I feel like we're getting appropriate boos.
This is phenomenal.
This is
So this was originally just another run-of-the-mill lawsuit, trying to get at one of the few really good things that the Biden administration did around repro healthcare during its time, which was after Dobbs make it very clear that HIPAA covers reproductive health information as well, right? So this bitch doesn't like it and filed a lawsuit, and it's before Matt Kaczmarek. And Matt Kaczmarek also doesn't like it, but he also doesn't like HIPAA, and he loves to punch above his weight. So what he has asked the lawyers in this case to do is, since we're all here, just among friends, why don't you each give me about 2,000 words on why HIPAA itself should be struck?
Right. So these anti-abortion ding-dongs...
What is the exact right answer, whoever said that in the crowd?
Right. So these anti-abortion ding-dongs are going to take down patient privacy as a whole because they want to know what's going on in your uterus. And that's
Nothing.
Just shocking. So Jess, what was the Biden era privacy rule?
Well, so after Dobbs, the Biden administration said, let's be very clear here. Health information includes reproductive information around legal reproductive health care. They had to put the legal there, but whatever. That's a different podcast. Around reproductive health care. And that made it very clear that if you were a provider in a state that had very recently banned abortion, you may remember Dobbs took effect. There were a bunch of trigger laws, and it was like boom, 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 boom. There go all the abortions in the Southeast, like bong. If you happen to be, say, in Texas, and you want to provide abortions to people in Texas, and either they're going out of state for it, or you're availing yourself of the SHIELD laws, which is places like New York and California and Colorado have passed protections for providers in banned states to work cooperatively with them. Law enforcement couldn't muck around and get that record. You had protection as a provider. So you had a guarantee from the federal government that you could do your job and provide health care without this threat. And patients knew that they had this protection as well. Well, that is all up for grabs. And in this particular climate, that is exceptionally terrifying. Before Dobbs, we had pregnancy criminalization. That is amplified and on steroids after Dobbs. We've got instances in Texas and Louisiana. We have the Georgia case. What these HIPAA protections had provided and do provide is a sense of security for folks getting care that law enforcement isn't going to muck around, that some aspiring prosecutor out of Amarillo isn't going to try and make a career out of throwing providers in jail or scaring them so much that they just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like they're not going to stop until they've criminalized every aspect of reproductive health care, just every aspect. And they're coming for privacy protections as a whole is sort of an overreach.
Yeah.
But
no, there's a sliver of good news in this. Okay. There is. Okay. So, I mean, this case is terrible. It's for the law nerds in the audience. It's at the summary judgment briefing stage, which is like one of the preliminary ways where you try and get a case thrown out on the merits, so on the meat and potatoes of it. Knowing that we have a Department of Justice under the Trump administration, we think those jamokes are going to vigorously defend HIPAA protections? No. So we've got that. There have been two cities, one in Ohio and then Madison, Wisconsin, which I feel especially proud of as a UW grad, that have filed a motion to intervene. That they want to step in and defend the regulation because they understand what's at stake. And that's really important because we can't trust the federal government at this moment to enforce any of our federal rights at all. We have to be leery if you are in a conservative state or state that is trending that way, that there's political opportunity right now for folks to try and gain something. We've seen this particularly, I mean, it blows up, but we've seen them try to stake their hands on that with some of the anti-trans stuff. So this is a real flashpoint is how I would describe it.
My question is, because the previous case that we talked about basically was about patients' right to sue if they were not getting the care that they wanted. So if a person looked up and was like, oh shit, I had a HIPAA violation and I'm going to jail, can you sue?
There's no private right of action under HIPAA.
Great.
So
nobody lets me out a lot of times because this is what I do.
It's really depressing, Jess. Really depressing.
It also goes back to what we just, the case we just heard also, and that is, if we're going to be empowering and funding fake clinics, anybody who knows sort of how these fake clinics work, you unknowingly go to a fake clinic, and the first thing you do before maybe you realize you're in a place that is going to dupe you is give your privacy information, right? So you're giving them all your information, your name, maybe social security number, address, all your shit, right? They aren't even covered by HIPAA, but if it goes away and it gets bigger, then what happens is let's say the fake clinic gives you an ultrasound and says to you, oh, come back in a month. We just need to see you in a month. You're good. And let's say you decide to go have an abortion, but you still don't know these people are fake. So you go back to this clinic. You're no longer pregnant. You say you had an abortion. They have all your information that they can give to either law enforcement, or if you revealed who the person was that you had sex with, that could be, have had sired. I hate to say father because they're not a father.
What are we, horses?
Drop their junk inside you.
Littered on your lawn.
Yeah. The batter blaster. Who's the batter blaster in this? Whoever that person is, right? Like they could go after you. Then let's contact the aggrieved inseminator, who then contacts a lawyer who's just waiting in the wings to prosecute.
Jonathan Mitchell.
Yeah,
Just
Jonathan Mitchell is just dropping business cards.
Yes. So it's like these fake clinics are so shitty on so many levels. But the fact that they give so much information, and also the fact that they are so close to clinics all the time. I cannot tell you how many times, and I'll give you one example that's just wild. There's a clinic in Minnesota, RIP, just closed. It was right across from a fake clinic, and the fake clinic's Wi-Fi was stronger than at the clinic. So when you were sitting in the waiting room, when you went to get on the Wi-Fi said, "Don't kill your baby," from the other clinic. So and then that's also in unsecured Wi-Fi. They can get your information there. There is so much shit around this that I can't even believe how we do it. So this, what do we do? Like, I feel like this case is not, it's at a place where maybe we could raise some alarms and do some activism around it. Let's talk about what that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird when it's like, what can we do about stuff in the federal courts, because it's the federal courts. But I do think that there are a couple pathways. One, make sure people know about these kinds of things, right? Like, this is a very learned room, and we are telling you things that you're hearing maybe for the first or second time. So one, just like do that. And then I look to the examples of, I think it's Columbus and Madison trying to intervene here. If you are in a spot where, you are in a protected state or locality, urge your local officials to stick their necks out for folks who are not, because the through line between the HIPAA case and the Medicaid case is really, we are going to need to all be sticking our necks out for the folks that these guys are coming for.
Yeah. And I think that it might be a good idea to just talk a little bit about when you say that. Maybe we could give people just a short, we have time, we're doing great.
We have time, we're doing great.
I'm watching time. A little bit of what a shield law is, and when you say stick your neck out, how the state of New York has stuck their neck out in ways that are pretty great.
Yeah, so, the shield laws, and Imani, jump in at absolutely any point, in places like New York, allow New York providers allow providers in banned states to still avail themselves of the protections of the laws.
No, and states where there's no ban.
It's the other way? Did I miss that? Gotta be in New York. Sorry. Abort. Rewind. All right. So yes. So the providers in the protected states can still provide abortions to folks in banned states. Thank you for setting me straight on that. I got it all mixed up in my head.
It's the gym.
In New York, we've gone a step further because Texas brought a case against a provider in New York. Our governor said, fuck that shit. Yeah, providers don't even have to put their name on prescription any longer. So good luck figuring out who sent these abortions to Texas.
Yeah.
And also,
and whatever your thoughts about Governor Hochul in New York, she basically was like, over my dead body by turning over this doctor.
And I would also say too that not only did Governor Hochul and AG James do this work, the principality that the doctor lived in would not be served the warrant. He refused the warrant.
Yeah.
So when you look at how this can be so cool, like some guy in, I think it's Ulster County or wherever this person lives, is like, I do not recognize this. I will not accept it. Like, good for you, dude.
I don't know her.
Yeah, she doesn't go here.
Dog litter paper.
Yeah.
So
but it is an excellent example of not comply in advance, but fuck you make me. And there's no way right now to do the fuck you make me.
Right.
And so
As long as she stays in New York.
yes, as long as she stays in New York, sit tight. And why would you
I
leave right
would
now?
need to leave. And also, I think it's important to know that, this is a doctor. Her name is Dr. Carpenter.
Yeah.
That set up her practice because she knew that she would be providing pills to people in banned states. And she's ready for this lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, that's hero shit in my estimation.
I also just want to say, the double hero shit about it is if you leave that state, and let's say you provide like she has two. She's a criminal lawsuit from Louisiana and a civil lawsuit from Texas.
Yes.
But if that physician goes to Indiana, and Indiana is like, I'm going to extradite that bitch because I hate abortion too, she could be extradited to one of those states. So she has made a decision to not leave New York, to stay safe, so that she can provide this for her patients. It's really like the next level of really like a really incredible person.
Chuck Schumer could learn a lesson or two about complying.
Chuck Schumer would never.
Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian.
Oh, God.
Did you hear that?
God, yeah.
That Donald Trump said he's no longer a Jew, he's a Palestinian. He's like, well, do better. Okay.
I think it's time to punch Elon Musk in the dick.
Oh, my God.
Yes! Let the dick punching of Elon Musk commence.
Dick punch, baby.
A dick punch, baby.
Dick punch, baby, dick punch. Dick
Dicks,
punch,
baby, that's where it's at.
I got me a dick and it's as big as a whale.
And it's about to get punched.
Amazing.
Oh my God, it's the gin. Okay, so Moj, we all know.
No, I want Imani to start it off.
So
because I feel
there's
like she's
so
got the
much.
good points.
There's so much to unpack with this case about why it's awesome. Like, just who wants to even start?
Okay, I'll start.
You start.
Elon Musk, you don't even fucking go here.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Do not fucking go here.
Go here.
Like, listening to that dipshit on Fox News talking about, well, if we don't win this election, we're going to lose Congress. We who? Who the fuck are you?
We who?
We who? That's all I'm saying.
You're not we with me.
You're we with me.
Also, like, he's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. Like, you know what? I feel like if I was a billionaire, I'd be on a beach. Like, fuck are you doing, dude?
He needs to get J.K. Rowling, and they need to go to the beach and just shut the fuck up forever.
I don't know if there are any other Badger grads in the room. Forward. I just want to say, yes, Wisconsin, this is fantastic to see because you all have been doing this work for so long. I am old enough to remember when occupying the Capitol was a good thing, and they did it to stop labor busting, right? Like, that's what this is. So, we've got also tens of millions of dollars that the conservative movement has spent on two Supreme Court seats in the state of Wisconsin in just a matter of years. And that should tell us all in this room what they understand the next frontier in this fight to be.
And I think it's good just to remind folks that, and we'll put this link in our show notes and please read it. It's a breakdown of, there's 24 states where we elect our Supreme Court. Some of them are partisan, some of them are not, but where we have elections. And as we know, the unspoken thing of this whole Wisconsin elections was there was a voter ID law on the ballot too that didn't get talked about, that passed wildly, which is a huge bummer, right? Yeah. So when you have your state Supreme Court and you have the ability, this is where our power lies, right? If you elect your state Supreme Court and find out if you do, that makes a huge difference when the shenanigans of legislatures are coming through. You can have sane people on your Supreme Court. It's crucial to know because we've been so ass backwards. Democrats are terrible. They bring a PowerPoint presentation to a knife fight all the time. So terrible. Right? It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
I'm
but
dead.
I also, in that list, want to put a caution, like, generally, electing a judge actually shouldn't be something that, like, can be bought, right? Like, it shouldn't be something that a billionaire can come from another country, another continent, and throw money at, right? Like, generally, these were things like qualified legal professionals would sit around and find the person that was best. And in some places, like Kansas, they're actually trying to go to this model so that somebody can come and throw a shit ton of money in it. And so I think I implore people to, like, know if you live in a state where the elections happen, and then pay the fuck attention and rally your friends and rally everyone you know. It's not the best method, but if that's the method we have right now, like, fight that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, when we looked at the elections and we looked at how many abortion ballot measures passed, the hurdles you have to go through to dump the shit laws that are no longer constitutional, the fight that those right-wing legislatures have done to not literally give people that right.
That they voted for.
That's right. That they voted for. The state Supreme Court is the first place they go to shut that shit down. Yeah. And so if they're not even going to listen to the people, and the people have the power to elect the state Supreme Court justices,
yes.
And here's why it matters specifically in Wisconsin, right?
Yes.
There are two cases challenging that are related to abortion in Wisconsin. The first is a debate over whether a law from 1849 is still going to be enforceable or overridden. The oral arguments in that case happened in November, so it's not clear whether or not Crawford will participate because she wasn't there to hear the oral arguments.
Can I just say one thing? That law was passed before Wisconsin became a state.
Yeah.
Also, most people in this room had no rights when that law was passed.
Yeah. We weren't born. Most of us weren't born.
Also that.
I wasn't born.
Shout out to the 200-year-old zombie in the back.
Who's getting Social Security benefits.
And then secondly, there's an issue as to whether or not the Wisconsin Constitution will protect the right to bodily autonomy. And that's a case that she will be able to participate in. So it isn't just, oh, hooray, we now have a liberal Supreme Court. There are issues of bodily autonomy that are at stake. And really, Wisconsin outvoted Elon Musk. Like, I don't think, I feel like...
Oh, and he's so mad.
In terms of, like when I heard the news, I was like, is it hope or is it gas? Like, I'm not sure what I feel right now. I did just eat a lot of yogurt. But what's really important is this idea that, like, even if he's on stage handing out $1 million checks, like,
and jumping like an idiot.
Publishers fucking
that man doesn't know how to jump.
Right. I mean, the fact that Wisconsin voters were like, fuck you, guy. We're going to exercise our right to vote, and we're going to outvote your millions of dollars. That just sends a message to the rest of the country that it's possible.
Yep.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah. It really is the motivation we all need to see, oh my God, if I show up, I can make change. And so it's up to all of us, if you feel inspired at all, to make sure that you are either organizing or participating in that change. It's crucial. Yeah. And the other thing too about Wisconsin, so I live part of the time in Minnesota and part of the time in Brooklyn. And so I hate Wisconsin, naturally. No, I don't. But one of the things that I know to be true and that a lot of people don't realize is that Wisconsin for years has been the epicenter of the anti-abortion movement.
Yep. Operation
Save America has been based there. Their leadership was at January 6th. They were very influential in both of these cases. They almost had the first case you talked, their first Supreme Court case with Janet Protese, which they were really pushing hard on that. Also, Brad Schimmel, who was the person running, this dude was AG of Wisconsin under fucking Scott Walker. Boom. Exactly. And the little known fact is they created at that time within the Wisconsin, I'm getting in the weeds, but stay with me. Within the Wisconsin government, Basically, they created a conservative legal department, got $1 million of funding from the legislature, and they put in charge of it a solicitor general who was a woman who was one of the architects of how they were going to overturn Roe.
Mm-hmm.
She was then shipped off to New York, was one of, it works at the law firm that defended Ivanka during all the New York, you can't work here anymore shit. But Reince Priebus, Scott Walker, like these people, I know they're like old school, but leaders in garbage. Wisconsin's number 2 export, aside from dairy, is fucking garbage men.
Not wrong.
Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. I mean, I could go.
Tommy Thompson.
So I just want to put that out there that this is a big win for, they're a swing state. We all know that, right? But like, it's a big win for a lot of things. And they're also gerrymandered the fuck out of this state.
And anything that makes Elon Musk unhappy is a win for all of us.
Except he meant to lose.
And I want to go back to the gerrymandering because, maybe she can be involved in redrawing the maps. And we all know that, I don't know, they get ahead because of the gerrymandering, right? Most people don't actually want Republican policies.
That's right.
People just don't vote or can't vote because of voter ID laws, because of gerrymandering. But, there's an opportunity for change. And Elon would not have allowed that.
No, but maybe, he meant to lose this.
Oh, he meant to lose that. Oh, yeah. Sorry, he meant to lose. Did you hear him say that? He said he meant
Elon Musk said he meant to lose.
Or he knew he'd lose. This is just like the ex-boyfriend that says, I was going to actually break up with you first.
You can't fire me. I quit.
No. You're toxic and I hate you.
Oh my God, such unhappy.
And stop doing so much goddamn ketamine, buddy.
Just slow down with the ketamine.
Slow your roll with the
I'm
cable.
drug positive, but come on.
I know. But really,
I don't know. It feels like I'm glad that none of us said Elon Musk in our I'd fuck that guy.
Have you seen him?
If I was drunk enough.
Liz.
Look, money, look.
Not even Rick Perry glasses could save that
No.
motherfucker.
It's
Not
true.
even a face transplant could save him.
No, he is subspecies. It's true. I have a question for y'all. Did you hear some stuff you didn't know before? Yeah. Awesome. So it's always fun to do live shows and then to be able to answer some questions. If you have, we hope you have questions because there's so much we didn't cover that we can. Come on up and ask questions and like anything that we can clear up, anything that you're wondering about, anything that you need, come up and ask because we really want to be able to close out, making sure that y'all are
satisfied.
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 Hi.
Hello.
I was going to say something I shouldn't have said. Never mind.
As individuals, how can we stick our neck out and actually help someone or help a large group of people?
Thank you for that question. Imani and I talk about this on the podcast a lot, which is that everybody has a lane. You don't have to feel like you have to do everything or be everything. And so what individuals can do is going to depend largely on your circumstances. And please, everybody chime in on this as well. For some people, they don't have the ability because of various safety factors or whatever to be publicly out and advocating. It's not safe for them for a variety of reasons. So don't do that. Don't think that that is the moment that you have to do that, right? Keep yourself safe and protected. But some people have the ability to donate time. Some people have the ability to donate resources to causes, have kitchen table conversations in your neighborhood conversations. I mean, one of the unifying things in this moment that we're seeing is that fascists hate joy and they really hate community. And everything that they are targeting right now is about fraying our net, and we need to stitch it together as strongly as we can. And it's a messy metaphor, but really understand where your strengths are and build community and deepen around that. This is a lot of time for local action too. I talk about donating to, if there's anybody in this room who's been doged, I am very sorry for you. You have my condolences, but donating to food banks and shelters and community outfits that support victims of intimate partner violence, those kinds of things, because that in particular are really under threat in this moment. And that's a justice-centered approach.
And also, I want to say that I want to just, of course, yes, and just there are other unconventional ways you can support. Similar to like early, I was joking, like our amplification at SCOTUS is terrible. Like if a person actually has an amplification company or access to one, finding those sort of things that seem unconventional, that one could even possibly get paid to do or donate, are ways to build community and help support movements, even if you yourself are like, I can't stand in front of said system, but maybe I can like have my colleagues set it up.
And I hate to be corny, but be happy, right? Like it's a shitty time right now, but as Jess said, fascists hate joy, and there's nothing to be gained by grinding yourself into dust as you attempt to make the world better. Like you have to be happy. Find those pockets of joy. It may not last more than 5 minutes, but that's 5 more minutes than you had before.
And I'll just butt this out by saying, I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Whatever your activism is and whatever your issue area is primarily, find organizations that help you work in community with the people most harmed. It keeps you humbled. It allows you to uplift people and work with them, not for them or on behalf of them. It helps you become a person who understands situationally something you may not have understood before, so you're a better advocate. And it also means that your heart is giving something to somebody else's heart who may not be experiencing a lot of that. Also, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Piper. It's Piper's birthday. Piper came in from Houston, was protesting with us, and came to the show. So
Thank you,
happy
Piper.
birthday, Piper. Thank you.
All right.
You're
Next
that bitch.
question.
That's awesome.
Right. So my mom actually had this question when we're talking about abortion being under threat, but is contraception and access to contraception also under threat, or could it be?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
unequivocally.
And how do you see what's the pathway that our adversaries are?
The cases
taking?
are already in the pipeline. There's a case out of Texas where a Christian patriarch, your typical Christian patriarch, wants to make sure that his daughters keep their legs closed. And even though neither of them at the time
have legs
or vaginas.
Oh God,
it's really weird.
They all have legs and vaginas, just the appropriate number. But neither of them expressed any interest in either having sex or going on to contraception. But he wants to keep his house under his rule, under his thumb, and so he is going after Title 10, right? And Title 10 allows you to go to a Title 10 clinic and get confidential information about contraception, which, studies have shown that most teenagers talk to their parents when they want contraception. And those who don't for a reason, because they're not safe. And so what these people want to do is to force everyone who wants contraception to have a conversation with a guardian or a parent who may not be safe. And that's the way they get to the rest of us, right? They start off with something that seems reasonable. Well, of course kids shouldn't be able to go and get contraception by themselves. Although that's been the case for 40 years, it sounds like that's a little bit reasonable. And then before you know it, single people can't get contraception, and then married
Women
people
without
can't
men.
get contraception.
Yes.
And then we're back
Yeah.
at 60.
And so Imani's talking about the Deanna case out of Texas, which is absolutely right. The current attacks on gender-affirming care are also a pathway to banning contraception, because what they are doing is targeting a silo of care, and they'll dress it up, but if it is hormone therapy, for example, or, so you can start to see those carve outs. Again, tie it back to the Medina case at the Supreme Court. Anytime the conservative movement is looking to carve something out of healthcare, we have to understand that that's an attack on healthcare generally. So you don't just carve out abortion without getting to contraception and gender affirming care and IVF and, assisted reproductive technologies.
Do you have anything, Moj?
I mean, also, didn't they just defund Title 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just defund Title 10.
I mean, literally, they're just pulling the money.
And the last thing I would say to you is, within this movement, and a constant, is the right wing trying to classify IUDs and emergency contraception as abortion.
Yep.
And so the case, yes. The Hobby Lobby case did it. There was not women
Yeah.
on that case. 57 times they made the other side talking about banning birth control.
Abortifacients.
Yeah, they referred to these as abortifacients, and they are not. So that's another thing. When you look at them, it's like they try to lump it all together. And so there's plenty of cases. And also, in the Dobbs case, they said contraception is also not mentioned. Again, it's not a magical word, apparently. It's not a guarantee. So they're going to look for the right case to come forward. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Hi.
Hi there. So I go around the country and I photograph the clinics and the protesters, and I'm usually pretty good at holding my own against them. But one place I've they stump me, and so I imagine other people have gotten stumped this way too, is when we get into the debate about bodily autonomy and everything. They always use this double like if a husband's wife was pregnant and they got in a drunk driving car accident kind of thing,
I love this question.
it'd be a double homicide. And I don't know how to get on, they always stick me there. And I know there's a way out, I just don't know it. So can you help us get unstuck?
Because if you talk about it in terms of reproductive justice, right? Reproductive justice is the right to be pregnant, the right to not be pregnant, and the right to raise your children in a safe environment, right? If you are a person who has a wanted pregnancy and someone assaults you or gets into a car accident with you and injures your pregnancy, then you have a right to sue them, because that was a wanted pregnancy. That has nothing to do with whether or not the person actually wants the pregnancy. So it's really all about justice. And that's why it's so important, I think, to differentiate between justice and rights, because justice encompasses so much more. And when we talk about justice, then we can have those nuanced conversations about what to do when someone harms a pregnant person who has a wanted pregnancy.
And murder is not healthcare. Murder is not healthcare. Abortion is healthcare. So even in Imani's explanation, we're granting just a sliver of a false premise that we don't need to. It is an apples and oranges comparison. The justice centering is absolutely right, but the difference is one act is healthcare and another is not. And you're never going to convince them respectfully because they're never going to believe abortion is healthcare. And so you can just say that and smile and say, God bless.
That's actually what my answer is going to be, like, oh, you don't have to talk to them, honey. It's fine.
Just move on. They know I don't want to talk to them, but they really
they won't leave you alone.
It's me versus 10 of them every time.
Understandable. Thank you.
And also, they have no moral center, so why validate them?
Just fuck them.
Yes. Oh, that's an interesting. Fuck one of them.
Not literally.
And ruin their lives.
No.
Oh, is that bad? Is that bad advice?
We're not doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
It wasn't Rick Perry that she was talking about.
Too much gin.
Did he have good glasses?
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight.
Yeah.
So these are fairly dark times, and I was wondering where, if anywhere, you all are finding hope right now.
The fact that we punched Elon Musk in the dick. Honestly, I mean, I was really concerned that wasn't going to be pulled out, and that would mean that he is able to buy elections in this country just willy-nilly. So I think that provides me a lot of hope. Also, the fact that you all are here and fucking fired up provides me a lot of hope.
And also working, like the work that we do, these are dark times, and I feel like every time I read the news, I want to punch myself in the face. But like yesterday, I was dancing in a pill costume in front of the Supreme Court, and like that was at least 2 hours of unadulterated joy.
I am constantly inspired and humbled and just motivated by the work that abortion providers do for their patients, and existing in community with people who support them and independent clinics in particular is a true sense of joy, because those are community heartbeats. Like, those are really places that bring folks together. Again, fascists hate that. So double down on that. And honestly, like, being in a room like this where we can have gallows humor, where we can laugh about the dark times, is so cathartic and so necessary, because to Imani's point, we cannot grind ourselves into dust. I know that there's a possibility that I may not see the world that I am trying to build right now. That's okay. That is okay. I mean, it sucks, but it's okay in the sense that, like, it's not demotivating. Being able to laugh, being able to have a drink, being able to feel inspired by and inspire others, that's what this moment is about. And we get through that together, right? The only way out is through. That's what we say it on the
And
podcast.
say yes to joy and say yes to being public.
Yeah.
And what I mean by being public, go out. Be in community with people you love, because you will not find a way to replenish if you don't say yes.
Yes.
If you are sitting with your own self, make sure, and you're feeling feelings, make sure that you have people surrounding you who bring you that replenishment. You know, is key. Doing anything, whatever that is.
And just certainly for those people who don't maybe have someone physically near them, you can reach out to people online. I mean, that's a really good support system where you can find people to be in community.
100%.
Amani and I met online.
We met on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for the shout out to fired feds and other people who've been doged. I'm among them.
I'm sorry.
So sorry. My question, I think, is mostly for Jess and Imani. What do you think the odds are that Trump or whoever is holding the strings that day gets to fill another Supreme Court seat?
Oh, very good. I mean, Jess can go on and on about it, but we've talked about how Thomas and Alito are surely going to retire so that Trump can replace them with 30-year-old dipshits.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, God forbid we have a situation where, we have an event on the court. I mean, like with Ginsburg. So I think it is clear that this administration has its sights set on at least one other seat, to Imani's point, so there can be someone young. And it's no coincidence that most of the folks that they would want to choose from are former Alito or Thomas clerks.
Jeanine Pirro.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding. That's not fun. Okay, thank you. Hi.
I just
Last
blacked out for a
question.
minute. Yes, I had a medically necessary hysterectomy a couple years ago. It took me 12 years to get that, with begging and pleading with doctors for that. I also have a trans son who is looking into that same operation. These laws make me worried for other women who are looking for that and are going to have trouble in the future. Is that something that is on the mind of anyone or that they're looking at as well?
I mean, yes, in the sense, like, I can't cite a specific piece of legislation, right? But the concept of controlling reproduction does not have a finishing point, right? And so when you take the logic to its natural conclusion, yes, it's about controlling who can get pregnant, when they can get pregnant, and if they can stay pregnant.
Yeah.
And you'll find that there are a lot of young people who need to get medically necessary hysterectomies, and you hear them tell stories about having to go to different doctors because, well, what if you want kids, or what if you need this, or
what if your husband will want you to have kids,
or what if your husband leaves you because you're barren? I mean, we're talking about
And that was
17th,
my
18th century
exact,
kind of
and that was my exact thing. Even though my husband is here and had no problem getting a vasectomy, they didn't even ask me. But it was both of us going in there begging and pleading, and it wasn't until I had almost adult kids that they finally let in.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sorry
if you
for
have
you for that.
if you have a trans son, that is gender affirming care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so gender affirming care is clearly on the chopping block. And so yes, it is. So we'll be fighting and watching for that all the time, because if it involves controlling your fertility, it's on the menu.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And it's a collective struggle.
All right,
We're all
last
in it
question.
together.
We have one question. This is it. We can do. Thank you so much, you guys. By the way,
Thank you.
Let's have that last question. You guys are great. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So I don't sometimes forget about the anti-abortionists. Like, I'm not trying to convince any of them, but like for the people who barely are not in this room and barely pay attention to the news, I kind of have an urge to like talk to them and be like, this is about bodily autonomy, like reproductive rights, gender affirming care. It's all about controlling your body. But like, should that even be something I should be thinking about? Or
Like,
Yes.
or are they
Yes.
so
Yes.
like-
Yes.
Yes, it is. So it is very important, I think everyone here would agree, to talk about this with the people in your life, because those people are not going to be convinced by reading the news. They're not going to be convinced by anything else. You talking honestly about your either experiences or things that you know or your thoughts is what moves hearts and minds. And I know that when I became the person who talked about my abortion with everybody in my life, I became the person that people shared their abortion stories with, and I shifted the narrative on a lot of people in my life. And so that is an absolute important conversation that only you can have with the people in your life.
And you also know what is going to land, right? So you know the entry points into those conversations better than any four of us on the stage. So it's whether or not criminalization is a big point, you know, or whatever it is. I tell a story where I was speaking at the University of Arkansas, and the first thing I did was like table set and was like ask the audience, okay, a bunch of students, how many of you had comprehensive sex ed? Only a couple people raised their hands. So that told me right away where I needed to start that conversation. And so I asked, how many of you have had somebody in your family experience a miscarriage? Nearly every hand went up. And I said, okay, great. Now you need to understand that abortion bans means every miscarriage is a possible crime scene. And the room went silent.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And that was our last question. And thank you all for coming to the show. Thank you to the Black Cat for hosting us for the fourth time or fifth time, I think. You're incredible. Thank you.
Thank you to the teams at Abortion Access Front, Alyssa Al-Duki, Kara McLean, Kristen Haiti, Emily Bice, Jason Fluke, Cheryl Dingle, Molly Gaby, Kimberly Smith, Stephanie Oster, Remy DeTournay, and of course, Jen Moon.
And of Rewire News Group, we want to give a big thanks to Mallory Johns, our new boss. She's about 2 months in the position right now. We're really excited about where the organization is going to be going. I am now in my 13th year working at Rewire News Group. I think Jess
Something like
is
that.
too.
Yep.
So we're in it for the long haul. We also want to thank Cage Rivera. They are amazing. They are our podcast producer. They are our graphic designer, and they are a badass. And we also want to thank Galen Donaville. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. I should have asked her.
It's so funny when you're like, I work with these people, I don't know their last names. Is that how you say that?
And Anissa Shukla. Thank you so much.
Everybody, yes. Thank you.
Liz, we got to do more live shows, and we've got to do more stuff with those two.
They are the best. Let me tell you, this four-headed petty hydra we have going on is really good.
And if you're not listening to Boom Lawyer, do yourself a favor, go subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. They're incredible.
That's right. And you can watch them at Rewire News Group on YouTube. So fun. It just makes getting to the end of the show spiel seem so anticlimactic, but it's not. It's amazing.
Do you like our special episode? Do you want more of that? Show us some love by liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating. Plus, stay connected with us on all the social medias at Abortion Front, all the platforms. With your help, we can get more people to learn about this assault on abortion access.
That's right. And now that you heard about all the good trouble we got into in DC, maybe you want to get more involved and join us next time. If you do, sign up to volunteer on our website at aafront.org/volunteer and get in on the action with us.
We are taking a break from having our souls sucked out in DC, but we return April 18th with an incredible show. Candace King, who we all love from The Vampire Diaries, joins to drop all the facts about the Tennessee Turd Fest, known as their legislature. She also teases what to expect in her new upcoming series, We Were Liars.
Plus, abortion legal scholars extraordinaire David Cohen and Dr. Carol Jaffe are here to update us on the jillions of threats facing abortion providers, and we'll talk about their new book, After Dobbs, How the Supreme Court Ended Roe, but Not Abortion.
And we've got a Patreon birthday shout out to a real one. Happy birthday, Dr. Sophia Yin.
We love Dr. Sophia Yin so much. Incredible. You're the founder of Panda Health. You can get birth control online. You can get it for cheap. And she is an OG supporter of this pod and of Abortion AF. So have a perfect birthday month, Dr. Yin.
Hey there, you. Be like Dr. Yin and join our Patreon. You can support our great content and get your very own birthday shout out, as well as cool FBK merch and experiences.
That's right. All Patreon pledges support this pod and all of our activism at Abortion Access Front. You can pledge at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills. FBK is edited by Remy DeTournay and is produced by Jin Moon for Abortion Access Front. Thanks for listening. Go smash that subscribe button. Go give us some Patreon cashola and join us next time. See ya. Bye.
Feminist Buzzkills, the podcast from Abortion Access Front. New episodes drop Friday. When BS is poppin', we pop off. And if you want to support our podcast and all the work of Abortion Access Front, like, subscribe, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/feministbuzzkills.